This time, part 3 of my top end rebuild. Will it start again? Let's find out.
Got a big mess to clean up. And it was puking its guts out.
So I'm going to jump right back in from where I left off at part 2 with the missing wrench that I have lost somewhere down inside the engine bay, hopefully.
All right. It is the next morning now. Ended up coming back out here last night because I couldn't take it. I came back and spent some more time looking for that lost wrench and found it. It had slid way down behind the washer fluid reservoir here. So that's good news. I don't have to take the intake back off. I think I said in the clip yesterday that I was somewhat concerned that maybe it had fallen down inside the valley there and that I had sealed it up underneath the intake. Even though I was pretty sure I had used it again after that on that stud on the back of the passenger side head there, which I have put on and taken off and loosened and adjusted like 6 times in this process. So that was my one problem yesterday. I think the only other thing that I've got to really tackle here is this power steering pulley. The threads inside of the pump shaft are rusted or just deteriorated or full of crap or something. I keep trying to chase these with this tap here, with that sticking out of there. So I'm going to try to chase that some more and then see if I can't get that installer to grab a hold without pulling out and actually push the pulley on. Because once that's done, I can reinstall the alternator, plug in the rest of the wiring, change the oil and the coolant, and then I think we're ready to fire. But probably going to be a while messing with this still. So I will get after it. Okay, just had a like gut-wrenching moment here. Almost have this fully complete back together. I was filling up the radiator and all of a sudden I saw and heard water gushing out from back here. And I thought, oh my god, the head gasket or intake or something's not seated. No, I forgot. I need to find a plug for this side of the head. The old one I cannot get out. It is a square drive, but it's not a 1/4 inch, it's not 1/2 inch, it's not 3/8, and I don't have anything to be able to get the old one out. So I need to find an old coolant temperature sensor or another plug or something to stick in there to be able to move forward. Well, this is what I found, another 1-wire temperature switch that I had that's new. I don't even know, it doesn't really matter, but it fits the hole, so I'm going to use that to as a plug for now. Well, I think that's nearly completely reassembled here. I'm going to clean a little bit more here before I put the overflow tank back in there. Wanted to dump that out because I've got the radiator refilled here. Got the oil changed and a fresh filter. So what I'm going to do before I try to start it is I still got all the spark plugs out. I pulled the fuel pump relay so I'm not pumping fuel. And I'm going to get in here and crank it over and make sure that I've got oil pressure building first. It should be fine, but since the push rods were completely empty and everything got cleaned and all of that, I just want to pump some oil through the entire system before we try to fire it off. Oh yeah, and might be the worst or messiest oil change I've ever done in my entire life. I had it draining into the pan and then I got up and came back, and of course the stream had moved and was all pouring out. So got a big mess to clean up. I have double, triple, quadruple checked everything here. The other thing about having all the spark plugs out, if for some reason there are any fluids left in the cylinders, cranking it over that way is going to flush all of that out, and that way I don't hydraulic a cylinder and bend a valve or a push rod or blow something up, because that would be bad. Okay, so oil pressure. Maybe I didn't plug that sensor back in. Well, the sensor is plugged in. All my grounds are hooked up. Okay, well, it just took a minute. That makes me feel a whole lot better. That shouldn't have really been that bad on the starter, because of course there's no compression with no spark plugs, but let's go put them in and fire this thing up. It's go time. I have double and triple checked again. Nothing down here in the rotating assembly. All the spark plugs are back in. Coils reconnected over there. Coil wires are all connected. Should be in the right order. So yeah, let's get this party started. Alright, that seems like timing. Alright, I'm going to check a little bit more on that. Okay, just adjusted the distributor in case it was getting crossfire or whatever on these, since you can't actually adjust the timing. Alright, let's scan it. Okay, well, I think I know what's wrong. It certainly seems like it. I think when I lashed the valves, I left it at top dead center exhaust instead of compression, and then rotated it around twice to keep it in the same spot, but instead of keeping it at the right one, I did it 180 degrees out. So need to pull the distributor, well, actually need to put it on top dead center mark, pull the distributor, rotate it around one more time, then put the distributor back, and then we should be good. Moment of truth, take 3, 2, something, I don't know. Nope. Maybe I had it right. Well, that didn't work. Back to where we started. Rotated it around, took the distributor off, did the whole thing again to put it back to the way it was to begin with, where it was almost starting, because after I made the change, it wasn't doing that. Okay. Alright, so I think it's going to turn the distributor more. Okay, the other way, I guess. It's alive. Kind of. Got good oil pressure, no temperature yet. Vacuum looks like it's a little bit low. So I think I figured out what's wrong here. The computer is showing the crank sensor is pulling 43 degrees of timing. So 360 divided by 8 cylinders is 45 degrees. So that definitely means I am one tooth off on the distributor. Let's try this again. Distributors reset. Okay, well, it's still 23 degrees out, or pulling 23 degrees out of the crank sensor, but I got it running pretty well. Overall, I'd say this is the smoothest it has ever run. It's also pulling 20 inches of vacuum now, which it was not doing yesterday when it was running. It's only doing like 17 or 18, so. Okay, first drive here. Looking pretty good. The vacuum response seems to be much improved over what it was before I changed the heads. Okay, here's a faster road. Definitely seem like I have more vacuum under partial acceleration than I did before. It also makes sense. I think I still have a little bit of that exhaust leak sound. Probably the donuts are bad, especially from me jerking everything around while working on this. But it seems to be running pretty well. So it still does a little bit of that, but that's much better. Before it oscillated between like 5 and 7 inches of mercury, something like that. No smoke, no leaks. For the test drive here, everything looks pretty good, sounds pretty good. Okay, perfect time for an update. Just came to pick up some food here and was waiting to go inside, and I heard the sound of water. Got out and it was puking its guts out. Fortunately, nothing catastrophic, explosion, failure, anything. It was me being an idiot. I apparently didn't get the lower radiator hose fully seated, and it was fine all day, but just decided to pop off and dropped all the water. So fortunately, I was paying attention and shut it off before it got hot, but now I'm waiting for family to show up with a couple gallons of water. So anyway, this is what test drives are for. So the last thing I need to do here to really get this dialed in, now that it's all complete and back together, is just fine tune the distributor. To do that, you need to go in with a scanner and look in the computer here at the camshaft position retard data. Actually, right now that's showing 0 degrees, so that's perfect, except to really do this test, you've got to rev the engine up to above 1,000 RPMs, but no higher than 1,200 RPMs. So I think I can do that in the computer here. I just need to rev this up to that RPM and then see what reading I get here for this camshaft position sensor. Okay, well, for whatever reason, my RPM control here, which I have used before, does not seem to be working. It doesn't communicate properly, so just going to have to go into the data stream and by hand twist the throttle body over there to get it to the right RPM and check it. So I will do that. I don't know if you can see this because of the screen, but -2 there. So that should be a job done.
So the rebuild was a success. In fact, a few days after I completed the rebuild, we loaded up the entire family in the car and did a 1,000-mile road trip, and then a week later did 1,000 miles back home again with no problem. The Suburban is running great between the new heads, the new gaskets, and the new injector. It's running smoother than it ever has before. The only other issue that I did run into in the process here was with removing and reinstalling the distributor and moving everything around. Those little plastic ears for the screws for the distributor cap broke, so I ended up ordering a repair bracket. I'll throw a link to that down in the description as well if you're interested, but just a little piece of metal and 2 longer screws that holds the distributor cap down. So once I threw that in there, everything was great again, and I'm really glad I went ahead and decided to do the all new heads. So no heat cycles, there's no rebuild, and as you saw earlier on, those new heads ended up even coming with screw-in rocker studs, which is a nice little upgrade. So with all this work complete, hopefully the Suburban will be good for another couple of 100,000 miles. But that's going to wrap this top-end rebuild. Thank you very much if you've watched all 3 parts of this all the way until the end. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that red button down below and subscribe so you don't miss my next video. Click the thumbs up and like this video if you did. Leave me a comment down below if you've got something to add, and I will see you next week.